Ladies and gentlemen, gather around because I've got a hot take fresh from the Golden State where the sun shines, the beaches sparkle, and the state budget weeps quietly in the corner. California, oh California, the land of dreams, avocados, and apparently bottomless taxpayer wallets. Our latest fiscal masterpiece, the state's decision to roll out the armed red carpet for former Vice President Kamala Harris with the shiny new California Highway Patrol Protection Detail. Because, nothing screams fiscal responsibility like footing the bill for a VIP security entourage while the state's drowning in debt faster than a tech startup burning through venture capital. Let's set the scene. California's debt is sitting pretty at, just a casual $800 billion or so, give or take a few billion for those pesky pension promises and infrastructure projects that cost more than a Hollywood blockbuster. We're talking a hole so deep even a billionaire couldn't tunnel his way out of it. And yet, in a move that's equal parts bold and bonkers, Governor Gavin Newsom and company have decided, hey, let's take some of that sweet, sweet taxpayer money and fund a protection detail for Kamala Harris. Because apparently the state's coffers are just overflowing with spare change, right? Wrong. It's like California looked at its budget, saw the red ink and said, you know what this sinking ship needs? A fancy new lifeboat for one person. Now, don't get me wrong, security's important. Kamala Harris, former VP, first woman in that role, high-profile figure, sure, she's got a target on her back bigger than a San Francisco rent bill. But here's the kicker. Her Secret Service detail was already extended by the president until mid-2026, which was already a bit of a political favor. Then, in a classic political twist, another decision comes down saying, nah, you're on your own as of Monday. Fair enough, former VPs get 6 months of federal protection, not a lifetime membership to the Secret Service Country Club. But instead of letting Harris figure out her own security plan, like, hiring a private firm or maybe not scheduling a 15-city book tour for her memoir, 107 Days During a Time of Elevated Threats, California steps in like a knight in shining armor, ready to saddle taxpayers with the bill. Here's where it gets rich. The California Highway Patrol's Protective Services Division, which is now Harris's personal bodyguard squad, isn't exactly cheap. We're talking a unit that already guards the governor, the first family, and visiting dignitaries with a budget that was $43 million back in 2009. Adjust for inflation and California's love for spending, and you're looking at a cool $60 million or more today. A hypothetical detail for Harris: 2 officers per shift, 3 shifts a day, plus supervisors and intel support. Let's call it 35 to 40 officers at $150,000 to $170,000 a pop. That's potentially $8 million a year, folks. And that's before overtime or her book tour jaunts to London and Toronto. Meanwhile, California's got crumbling roads, a homelessness crisis that's practically a state landmark, and schools that could use a few bucks for, books. But sure, let's prioritize a security detail for someone who's no longer in office. And let's talk about the optics. The governor's office is all, we don't comment on security arrangements, which is politicians speak for, please don't ask how much this costs because we don't want to admit we're burning taxpayer cash like it's a bonfire at Burning Man. A big city mayor chimes in, calling the decision to pull Harris's federal protection an act of revenge. Okay, but maybe the real revenge is making California taxpayers foot the bill while the state's budget is on life support. This isn't about safety, it's about political loyalty, optics, and keeping the political machine humming. Harris gets to jet set for her book tour, the governor gets to look like the hero, and taxpayers get a bigger tax bill. Classic California. Oh, and speaking of taxes, let's not forget California's already got some of the highest in the nation. Gas taxes, income taxes, sales taxes, heck, we're taxing sunshine at this point. And now, with this CHP protection detail, we're essentially tacking on another line item to the budget, Kamala's VIP treatment, courtesy of you, the taxpayer. It's like California's saying, hey, we know you're struggling with rent, gas, and that $7 latte, but how about you chip in for a few armed escorts for a private citizen? Meanwhile, the state's fiscal forecast is so grim, it makes a Greek tragedy look like a rom-com. Proposals to fix the debt? Oh, they're floating around. More bonds, higher taxes, maybe a bake sale if we're lucky. But instead of tightening the belt, California's out here playing Secret Service for a memoir tour. So here's my pitch. California. Maybe, just maybe, we could prioritize the basics, like fixing potholes, housing the homeless, or not taxing people into oblivion before we start bankrolling protection details for former VPs. Kamala Harris is a big name, sure, but she's not the governor, she's not the president, and she's definitely not hurting for book deal cash. Let her hire her own security, or better yet, let's have a real conversation about who deserves state fee.